We're back today with our F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. Last time out we kicked things off then with the Bahrain Grand Prix. It wasn't too bad a race, we managed to get both cars to the finish, although we did have a bit of a spin at one point when we were battling. But now moving on then to today, where we're seeing then which driver start we're going to focus on for Lundgaard. He didn't make any mistakes that I saw in Bahrain, so I just decided here that pace was probably the better thing to go for there because his awareness already seems to be very good. Now I've updated our livery a little bit because you couldn't really see our sponsor much before, and I've also added it in a few other places on the car as well because obviously it's still looking quite plain at this stage. We've unfortunately had a chassis that upgrade fail, so we're going to try and get that back on now then for hopefully the next race. And we've got a load of events coming up as well then because there is a mid-season break coming up after just one round because this game came out then with the some of the tracks missing from the calendar, so yeah, we've got a huge gap now between the first and second race. We have got enough money now then to do a bit more of a chassis factory upgrade there, so we did that. We're also going to add another engine upgrade there as well. So yeah, we're just keeping things going then, and we should be able to keep things going quite nicely here then. Here is how things are looking at this point. We are still moving forward, but Alfa Romeo are improving at a slightly better rate than us there, and they've gone slightly further ahead now then, as we are now at the Spanish Grand Prix. Then we've gone through that whole sort of spring break, I guess, which is in the game, and yeah, his practice then we managed to gain a load of resource points. Lundgaard not really doing much there, but we at least got quite a few there, and that's opened up quite a few more upgrades for us now then. Again, I'm going to skip through all of these because there are quite a lot, and yep, skipped ahead to our acclaim boost, which is quite a lot once again then, and we're up to level 4 already, which is very good. We'll be close to getting our second sponsor quite soon. We've got some more resource points now then to do another aero upgrade, so that is what we're going to do now then, as we can do 2 simultaneous upgrades. Heading now then into qualifying, and we'll see then what we can do here this time. Obviously we made Q2 last time, which was a big surprise because obviously we expected to be out in Q1. Now we did alright in practice, so I was hoping that we would have a good chance again then of being ahead of maybe the Williams and the Haas drivers here this weekend. So we'll have to see then how things go. Here is our first lap then in Q1. This time wasn't too great, and to the line is only 17.9, which is quite way off of Lundgaard there, and it did in fact leave us slowest at this stage. So we're obviously back out now then and trying to improve on that. We are on a much better time this time around then on our second lap. We're nearly half a second up here now, heading into the final chicane, and we should get a pretty good drive out of here then. Bit of a slide, but we're still on for a big improvement here then, and to the line we improved, but we only improved to 21st there then with Lundgaard in 19th, so our pace isn't too great at this stage, but we are now back out then at the end of the session for one final run, where we've been bumped back down to last place, so we really need to improve here now then. And we're not gaining as much this time round, but still we are on for an improvement for the time being, although we did make a little bit of a mistake there into the hairpin there, so that cost us a bit of time. But if we can get this this final sector nice and tidy, then we may still have a chance of improving. And yeah, if we get this final chicane just right, then we have a chance, but unfortunately we haven't there. We've had a little bit of a slide, and it does mean then that we're going to be qualifying last for this race, which is a bit of a disappointment. But I mean, we're not a million miles away, and Lundgaard there was up in 18th, so a decent qualifying for him. I don't know what it was for me there. It seems to be maybe an issue that goes back to F1 2020, where the practice programs aren't exactly accurate because I was passing them, but yeah, the pace wasn't there in qualifying sadly. But Lundgaard then at least gained quite a lot of acclaim there, and as a team we've also still gained quite a bit as well, so we're still moving forward quite nicely there then. But now yep, heading back then to the garage then, and yeah, we just have to hope for better now then in the race. Obviously we'll be starting last. It doesn't look like it's going to rain then. There's a very low chance then that it's going to rain in the race, so I don't think we'll have to worry about that then. We'll see what we can do as we now head into the Spanish Grand Prix.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula One calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of turn 9. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1, so how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are three main things to worry about there, Crofty: positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Lando Norris and Ricciardo, Leclerc, Sainz, Vettel and Pierre Gasly, Stroll, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso and Ocon, Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, Antonio Giovinazzi and Christian Lundgaard, Russell, Mazepin, Ace and Nicholas Latifi. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
The team then have decided that it's going to be a one-stop strategy for this race. Again, as I said before, we're not strictly following the team strategy in this series, but for these early rounds I'm probably going to just go with what they say whilst I figure out what is the best way to go in all these races. But yeah, we're just going to go with that. Then we're going to go with the one stop. We're also going to underfuel the car by a couple of laps because I think there is a good chance that we will be lapped a couple of times in this race. And there is a mix then of tyre choices. Hamilton and Perez are both on mediums up at the front. Also the two Alpines there, Raikkonen, Schumacher and also George Russell there, and in fact Latifi as well in the other Williams. He's taken a grid penalty by the looks of things. I did consider doing that, but I thought just because I don't think it'd be realistic, to be honest, if I took an engine penalty, just because we're a new team, we probably don't have a lot of money, and it just wouldn't be realistic if we were just out the back, just throwing a new engine in it every weekend when we qualified last. So that's the reason I didn't take any penalties there. But we're now lined up then on the grid, and we've got the lights coming on now. Away we go. And I actually think we were a little bit slow there reacting to the lights. So, well, we didn't start last, but we're back down to last then almost straight away here. So, yeah, not the best start here, but we've got a big slipstream then towards turn 1, and we're diving down the inside here of both Latifi and Mazepin there. And it looks like we've managed to make up one place back now then. And into turn 3, we are back past Latifi then. So, managed to recover a couple of positions there then, which is good. And then in fact into turn 4 we're just diving down the inside here of George Russell as well, and we managed to get another place back there then. And yeah, it's a good start, and we're going to just keep on making it even better then, because we're going for the move as well then on Schumacher here and passing him as well. So it's pretty good for us then. We're passing a lot of other medium tyre runners here. Our teammate is next up the road and he is on the soft tyres, so we probably won't be able to stick with him in terms of pace, and that same may well apply then to the Alfa Romeos because they do seem quicker this weekend. But it'll be interesting to see if Christian can go with the Alfa Romeos then in this race whilst he is on those softer tyres and sort of go with their pace. We'll have to wait and see then and see what we can do on these mediums, as there was a yellow flag behind us, and well, it's green flag now, but yeah, it looks like there was a bit of an incident there going on behind us. We'll see what happened there in a minute. But here is a replay then of the start, and looking all the way back down the field then, we were very slow and reacting to lights unfortunately, and that dropped us back. But as we saw, we did manage to make up for it then. First here with them with the lunge into turn 1, and just for these first few corners we were just diving down the inside whenever we saw the opportunity really. Let's move on Latifi to move us up to 20th. and then just going for the move on the inside there, Russell to go up to 19th, and then on the next corner as well to the move there on Schumacher as well to move up to 18th. So we more than made up for a bit of a slow start there. And here's what happened to George Russell here. He was the one who caused the yellow flag, and he just, I think, took a little bit too much curve there and spun off, but he managed to recover it then. And we're going to see here Mick Schumacher for the second race in a row is going to have a car spinning in front of him, and it's when his teammate Mazepin's behind him as well. But thankfully this time Mazepin was smart enough to not just ram into the back of his teammate there, and all 22 cars are still running in this race. On to lap 6 now, where our pace is really not that great at all compared to our teammate. He is on the softer tyres of course, but yeah, over 3.5 seconds clear of us already then after just 5 laps, and we're still holding off Latifi and Schumacher here, and I think also Mazepin as well, as obviously Russell is still quite a way back then recovering. But yeah, our pace doesn't seem to be too great at this stage, and that continued then on to lap 10 where we're over 5.5 seconds behind now, but we have managed to build out a gap to Latifi then, so it's about 1.5 seconds now, so we're not under any immediate threat here from DRS or anything, so that's a little bit better for us now then. But we're sort of in no man's land at this stage then, with no one really to race at this point after 9 laps of racing here. So we'll see then how the tyre wear plays out then, I guess, and see if we can come back to Lundgaard. He does now pit on lap 14 then, so does Giovinazzi there in the Alfa Romeo. So yeah, we're going to gain a couple of places here then. I think Gasly has already been in there as well, he's in 15th, and I think maybe Tsunoda as well there in the other AlphaTauri. So yeah, I think they've both been in so far in this race. Schumacher has passed Latifi, and yeah, I think Latifi had an issue because he was really struggling quite a lot. And there we see, I think, of Giovinazzi there, who had a bit of a spin there, and that held up those up in front of us. I think that was just before Lundgaard pitted there. For the second race in a row then, we've had a DRS failure, but at this point in the race we're not really racing anyone, so it's not going to matter too much as long as they fix it soon enough then. Schumacher is slowly closing up to us then, but we're keeping the gap pretty stable here to Raikkonen as we are on to lap 19 now then, and the gaps are finally starting to stable out a bit then, because we're keeping Raikkonen then within 4 seconds here and Schumacher within 1.5 seconds of us, so we all seem to be lapping quite consistently now then on this same strategy. And skipping on to lap 22 then, where we have the first retirement of the race now. That is Daniel Ricciardo there in the McLaren, and I think he was running quite well in this race. I think he was maybe up in about 4th or 5th position, so yeah, that is a big disappointment for him there then. We can see from the on board he was only just behind the Red Bull there, so yeah, he was going very well in this race, so yeah, that will be a big disappointment there then for the McLaren driver. And yeah, there goes his teammate, so yeah, he was doing very well in this race there. As we are going to now then skip to lap 24, where still quite well until we have to pit them, but we are slowly catching Raikkonen, but Schumacher is catching both of us here then at this rate, and he is in with DRS range. We're just using our overtake here then, which is doing enough for us then to maintain our position over the Haas driver there. And yeah, we do just seem to have enough straight line speed then when we use our overtake, and that is managing to keep us in front here. Skipping on to lap 29 now then, we'll be pitting on the next lap, but Schumacher's actually pitting this lap then, so we'll see then if he gets an undercut on us. Hopefully not. I think he may well rejoin then and actually be among the front runners here, and in fact yeah, we're going to pit on this lap now then for our pit stop, and we see Schumacher then, he is in fact now letting some of the front runners through, so that is a big benefit for us then for staying out then and doing this one stop, is that, well, we've managed to, well, because we've stayed out, we haven't been caught by the front runners yet, so that's really benefited us, because all those cars behind, they're going to be losing time then, making way for the leaders here, so hopefully that'll play into our advantage then as we exit the pits now then, and we'll see then where Schumacher is. Well, our teammate Lundgaard has only just gone through there then, and he was about 6 seconds up the road from us, and yeah, we're ahead then of Schumacher by 1 second, so we've done that quite comfortably then, as we're now going to have to start letting some cars through here then. There's Verstappen up in 3rd, so I think it's the 2 Mercedes then that have already gone through here then and lapped us while we were in the pits there. But yeah, we're only just behind Lundgaard here, and we're still ahead of Schumacher, so it's quite a tough point nicely for us. I think this one stop strategy is going to really be the right decision for us then, because yeah, we're right on the back of Lundgaard, who starts to pit again, and we're not that far away from the 2 Alfa Romeos yet either. So yeah, I think we're in a good position. Our pace hasn't been too great like over this race and this weekend, but I think we are looking like we're in a pretty good position here. I was really close up to Lundgaard at this point, but I was thinking maybe it wouldn't be the best idea to overtake him, because he does still have to pit again, and it could really mess up his strategy if we overtook him. But the thing is, his pace wasn't really that great though, and he wasn't really making the most of being on the medium tyres here, and the fact that he was having to push to go for another pit stop. So I got a run here, and I was thinking I'm just going to go for this overtake, because he's really not making any progress here, and I may well be able to catch up to the Alfa Romeos up in front. We go for it then, run outside into turn 1, and we've got the move done then up into 16th position, and I think we're in a really good position at this point then, because Giovinazzi still has to pit. So once he pits, and if we can hold up off Schumacher, we could go on for about a 15th place finish here today, which would be, I think, a decent result, especially considering that we started this race in last position. So yeah, if we can keep things going, then I think we're in for a good result here potentially, as we're seeing the on-boards now then from that overtake here then. And Lundgaard went defensive. He was looking in the wrong mirror there, because we weren't running the left hand side and he was looking in his right hand mirror there. But yeah, we got the move done then up into what was at that point 16th position then. But as I say, it's not going to become 15th then, because Giovinazzi's in. In fact, so is Lundgaard as well then, just a couple of laps later, and that moves up then to 15th. We're about, well, we're nearly 5 seconds behind Raikkonen, but over half a minute behind Ocon there in the 13th. So I think it's definitely going to be 14th, that's the target, if that then, and we'll see now then if we can catch up to Raikkonen in this race. Our pace has been quite similar, so I think we may need a bit of good fortune here if we are going to catch him today then. And yeah, we'll see then what happens. As we skip on to lap 46 now then, where Schumacher is very close to the back of us once again then, so our pace hasn't been too great then over these last few laps, and Raikkonen has managed to pull out the gap a little bit then, as we are going to have to go a little bit defensive here then, because even with us using our ERS there, Schumacher did catch up to us quite a bit. So yeah, we did have to go a little bit defensive there just to make sure that we did have that one covered. Skip on to lap 52 now then, where we're getting blue flags, and it is actually because we're going to be lapped here for a second time. We've just let the 2 Ferraris through, and I think Sebastian Vettel as well in the Aston Martin, and now Hamilton's coming through then to lap us twice then. So I was right with my prediction that we would be lapped twice then, so underfueling the car by a couple of laps does seem to have been a good decision there then, because yeah, we haven't been wasting any unnecessary fuel. Meanwhile, for one of the other front runners here, Max Verstappen, he ran over a curb there and damaged his front wing, and he's actually had to pit again then to replace that. So yeah, that's quite unfortunate there for Verstappen, just breaking on a curb by the looks of things. Skipping on to lap 54 now, where we've got yellow flags up in front of us, and it's for Kimi Raikkonen there in the middle of the track. And well, we thankfully avoided him, and it looks like everyone else has as well. But yeah, it looks like Kimi's made a mistake then, and that has moved us up to 14th position then. We're 43 seconds behind Ocon and over a minute behind Gasly in 12th, but still, we're on for a very good result here then if we can keep this going. And yeah, well, what on earth happened to Raikkonen then? He was just sideways in the middle of the road there, and well, he had just been letting some front runners through then, and I think just got on the curb there a little bit, and yeah, round it went. Just touched the barrier. I think he did actually damage his front wing there, but thankfully no one else collected him in that. And yeah, we keep going then. Well, do we keep going? Because we're getting a radio message here then saying that there's potentially an issue. Well, we had that in Bahrain, and thankfully it didn't turn out to be anything, but well, we'll have to wait and see now then. We just have to pray that things keep going, because we're in a good position here then. We're 14th, we're holding off Schumacher, we've held him off all race then so far, and God, it would be such a shame now then with just 10 laps to go if there was an issue that forced us out of this race. And oh, I don't believe it, that is exactly what's happened here then. There's some kind of issue with the engine. We actually missed the pit lane there, but yeah, we're going to have to retire from the race then, and that is a huge shame for us. We were on for a fantastic result there. A 14th place would have been so good for us then, with when you think that maybe we won't score points this season, but you know, the best results count if it's a tie break. So yeah, a 14th would have been so valuable there, and wow, that is absolutely brutal there then. just 10 laps to go. I mean, it wasn't even 10 laps because we were a couple of laps down there, so we were so close there. But our Spanish Grand Prix has ended.
They've done it then. A spectacular victory here in Spain and a massive confidence boost going into the next race. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Lewis Hamilton wins then for a second race in a row, and for a second race in a row as well it is a Mercedes 1-2, but it's a different Red Bull that joins him on the podium then, as Sergio Perez is third, Lando Norris is fourth, and as we saw before, Verstappen had to make an extra stop for a front wing change there due to get run over a curb. Two Ferraris then in the points, so were the two Aston Martins, and Tsunoda was once again in the points there in 9th. Gasly there just missing out, and so did the two Alpines there. Schumacher inherits our 14th position. Lundgaard was up in 16th, so another decent result for him. But yeah, that is absolutely brutal then. We were up in 14th position with just, well, only about 8 laps to go. And yeah, that happened then. And yeah, that's going to hurt us then in the championship. But Hamilton then, he's got 50 points so far, and he is leading the way then from his teammate. And then the two Red Bulls follow behind him. Norris up to 5th there. And well, for us, that could have been us there up in 16th position there, but sadly we have dropped down to 19th today then. Lundgaard also dropping place there then, and yep, Haas then move ahead of both us and Williams then today. And again, that should have been us. That 14th place could have been absolutely crucial there in terms of keeping us ahead of Haas and Williams, but sadly it wasn't to be. Mercedes lead the way at the top, and Ferrari have overtaken AlphaTauri.
Bad luck out there today. Let's talk about it. Who would you say is your biggest rival at the moment? It looked like you had a few mechanical hiccups during that race. You lost to your teammate today. Was it just not your day? It must be crushing when something goes wrong that's entirely out of your control. Appreciate your time.
So there was nothing we could do. We did everything we could, and yeah, sadly we got nothing from today then in terms of race result. But we did gain a load of acclaim then, and we are up to level 5 now then, which is very good for us. I believe this is now when we can get another sponsor on the car, so we'll look to do that next time then. And in terms of damage then, we didn't get any this weekend, which is good, and we gained some more money as well then to hopefully spend on some more factory upgrades then potentially. And yeah, I think that is going to wrap it up then. A very sad way to end this episode, but you know, I think it is cool though that these things can now happen in the game, even if it is a bit frustrating, and hopefully it won't happen too often for us. But yeah, I think it's kind of cool that can happen, because it can happen randomly to the AI as well, so I think it's only fair that it can happen to the player as well then. But that is it then for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, really appreciate a like on the video. I'll see you next time then. We'll have the Monaco Grand Prix.